Hi everyone, welcome to this video where we will be seeing how to automate mails using AWS SES, that is Simple Email Servers and Lambda functions. So before starting this video, a quick introduction about myself. My name is Tejas Gupta. I am a cloud practitioner as well as solution architect certified. Also, I am an AWS community builder, and along with that, I am a core member of AWS user group Mumbai. So if you want to connect with me, here is my profile link of LinkedIn, and you can also scan the QR code to directly view my profile. Okay, so what's the agenda for today? First, we will be seeing the architecture that we are going to implement. After that, we will be seeing about some services that are used in our architecture, that is EventBridge. Then we will be seeing about Lambda functions. Then what is an IAM role, followed by AWS Simple Email Service. And then at the last, after getting all the idea about all services, we will jump directly to the hands-on. Okay, so let's see the architecture at a high level. Here, we will have an event bridge to create events that will be connected to our Lambda function. And this event will trigger the Lambda function. Now, we have an IAM role on top of Lambda function to provide a suitable permission. And at the end, Lambda function is connected with SES, that is Simple Email Service, that will help us to send the mail. So this is basically our whole architecture for this demo. So let us see the services one by one. Okay, so the first service is Amazon EventBridge. EventBridge was formerly called as Amazon CloudWatch Events. So first it was basically part of AWS CloudWatch, but then at AWS New York Summit in 2019, AWS EventBridge was introduced with a lot of use cases. It is a serverless event bus that make it easier to build event-driven application at scale using event generated from your application, integrated software as a service, and AWS services. In EventBridge, there are rules that watches for a specific type of events, and when a matching event occurs, the event is routed to a target associated with the rule. A rule can be associated with one or more targets here. Okay, so let's understand this event bridge with a diagram. But before that, what are events? So events are basically a record of action. For example, putting a file in S3 is an event. Time is also an event. And every event has some metadata with it. Now in this image, the light blue part is the event bus, which has a lot of events from different sources. Now that we have all the events on the bus, Event Bridge allow you to set up rules. These rules are data patterns that are matched with these events. And if it doesn't match, event is ignored. But if it matches, EventBridge will send a copy of event configuration to the configured target. For example, here you can see Lambda, AWS batch, step function, etc. Now, the next service is AWS Lambda. So now let us see what is a Lambda function. So Lambda function is basically a serverless compute function where you don't have to manage the servers. It runs on demand of user. Also, here you don't have to manage the scaling as it is already done for you. So Lambda function is triggered in response to an event. For example, an API call can trigger the Lambda function. So Lambda function basically supports multiple programming language. So that means you can configure your Lambda function in multiple programming languages. For example, we have Node.js, Python, Java. and many more languages are supported with AWS Lambda. But there is one constraint with AWS Lambda, that it is limited by time. So you can run your Lambda function at max 15 minutes. Earlier it was 5 minutes, but now AWS has increased the time to 15 minutes. Now let us see some of the benefits of using Lambda functions. So as Lambda function is a very popular service, it is well integrated with whole AWS suite of services. Also, it has integration with many programming languages. And we can easily monitor our Lambda functions through AWS CloudWatch. And also, it is very easy to scale. Okay, so as we have seen the benefits of Lambda functions, now let's get to another offering, that is IAM role for services. Okay, so what is an IAM role for service? So some AWS services need to perform some actions on our behalf on our account. And to do these actions, they are just like users. They will need some kind of permissions. So we need to assign some permission to AWS services. And to do so, we are going to create what's called an IAM role. So this IAM role will be just like a user, but they are not used by a physical person, but instead they will be used by AWS services. So what does that mean? Let's take an example. Let's say we have created an EC2 instance. An EC2 instance is just like a virtual server. This EC2 instance may want to perform some action on AWS, like upload a file on S3, and to do so, we need to give permission to our EC2 instance. So for that, we are going to create an IAM role, and together they are going to make one entity. And together, once the EC2 is trying to access the bucket, that is our S3 bucket, then it will use the IAM role. And if the permission that is assigned to the IAM role is correct, then it will be able to successfully upload the files to S3. Okay, so that's basically for the IAM role. Hope it is clear. Now let's move forward to the next service, that is Amazon Simple Email Service. We also call it as Amazon SES. So basically, it's a fully managed AWS email service that is able to send emails securely, globally, and at scale. It supports both inbound as well as outbound emails. Also, you can send the email through console, APIs, or SMTP. And there are lots of security checks as well as failover implemented by AWS, which make this service very resilient to use. And you can also send bulk emails using this simple email service. Okay, so we have seen all the services that are required to implement our architecture. So this is basically our architecture. So we have EventBridge that is connected to Lambda functions, that is connected to simple email service. And on top of Lambda function, we have an IAM role. So basically what we are going to do here, we will set up EventBridge that will create an event based on time, and that event will trigger the Lambda function. Okay. And Lambda function will have the support of IAM role. That means it will have the necessary permissions to access the simple email service. Okay. And in Lambda function, we will have the code to send email using simple email service. So when the event trigger the Lambda function will automatically send the mail to the destination email. Okay, so let's go directly to the demo. Okay, so this is my AWS console, and here we have lots of services, and you can see I'm in North Virginia. So I will be doing all my practical, that is hands-on, in this Virginia region itself. So now first we will set up our simple email service. Here we need to set up two emails, one for sender and one for receiver. So here let's search simple email. Okay, so this is a simple email service. Let's go on to that service. Now we have to create this identity. Click on create identity. So we are going to create email. So now let's enter the email address. First we will configure the sender email. Let me enter my email. Okay, you can give the tag here. Let's say name, sender email. Okay, so that's it. You can create the identity. Now, if you can see, the identity status here is verification pending. So on my email, they have sent a link. So on by clicking on that link, I can confirm the email and then use it as a sender email. So let me go to my email. Okay, so this is the email which I have received on my sender email. Let me click on this link. Now you can see there is a congratulation here and our email is successfully verified. Now let's do it for the receiver email also. Okay, before that, let us check if the verification is successful. Let me refresh. It's loading here. Now you can see it is verified. Okay, so now let us set up our receiver email also. We will follow the same process. Click on create identity, select email here. Now let me enter my receiver email. Okay, so this is my receiver email. Let me give a tag here. You should always use tags so that you can differentiate between the resources. Okay, so now let's create identity. Again, the status is verification pending here. Now let me go to my email. Okay, so I am onto my email and you can see I have received a link here. Now let me click on that link. Now we have successfully verified the email address. Let me go back and check. Okay, so it is verified. So now we have successfully configured our both email address into our simple email service. Now we can use these emails in our Lambda functions. So now let's create Lambda function. Okay, so this is our Lambda function dashboard. But before creating Lambda function, we have to manage the permission. Why? Because our Lambda function will be interacting with simple email service. So to manage the permission, we will create an IAM role. Let me search IAM. So this is the IAM service. Let me go on to IAM service here. Okay. So this is the IAM dashboard. Here we have roles. Let me create a new role. Click on create role and we will be attaching this role to our Lambda function. So the, the trusted entity type is AWS service and Here we have to select the Lambda function. So now click on next. So here we need to give some permission. So as the Lambda function will be interacting with SES, we have to give SES permission. So for now, let me give full access, and also let's give EventBridge. So let me give EventBridge full access. Now I have attached the policies to the IAM role. Click on next. Give a role a meaningful name. So let me give SES Lambda integration role. Okay. So this is automatically assumed by Lambda function, and then these are the permissions that we added. So here we have EventBridge full access and SES full access. Okay, now let's create the role. It is being created, and now the role is successfully created. Okay, if I have to search this role, I can refresh here. Okay, and let me search SES. If you can see, this is the role that we created just now, and we can see that in the IAM roles. So now let me quickly go on to the Lambda function. Okay, now let's create a function here. Okay, let me give the Lambda function a name, that is email. Okay, we'll be using the runtime as Node.js only. So go for the default one. The architecture will be the default one, and then we have to add the IAM role. So use the existing role, and here choose this SES Lambda integration role that we created just now. Okay, so this is it basically for the configuration of our Lambda function. Now let's click on create function. So this is a Lambda function, and here we have our sample code. Now let me change the sample code. And this is the code which we will be using here. Here, as you can see, we are using AWS SDK, and we have to give the region. So for me, the region is US East 1. Okay, so make the changes according to that. US East 1. Okay. And here we have to give the receiver email and the sending email also. That means the recipient email and the source email address. Okay, so let me add that. This is my receiver email, and here is the source email. Okay. Okay, so now let me give a custom message here. Let me add a subject called as mail from AWS, and the data should be mail is coming from Lambda function. Okay, so this is it. Now let's click on deploy here. So it is successfully deployed. Now to check it, what you can do, you can create a test case here. Okay, you can create an event. Let's say test event, and then remove this thing we don't need and click on save. Okay, so we have successfully created the test case. Now, if I click on test, okay, so it executed successfully here. And now if I check my email, okay, so I'm in my email, and now if I see, this is the mail which I received just now. So our Lambda function is working perfectly. Now let's integrate it or add the trigger with AWS EventBridge. Now let me go to EventBridge. So this is the EventBridge. Okay, so this is the Amazon EventBridge dashboard, and here we will be creating a rule. Okay, we will create this rule in the default event bus. So let's click on create rule. Okay, here let's give a rule name, that is SES Lambda. Okay, choose the event bus as default. Okay, so here we have to select the rule type. The first one is rule with event pattern or the schedule. So here what does schedule mean? So if you want to schedule your event based on some time pattern, so you can use the schedule one. We are going with this one only. Now we are not going to use scheduler here. Click on continue to create rule. So here we have schedule patterns. There are two types of schedule pattern here. One is a fine grained and other is a regular rate. So in a fine grained, for example, if you want to set up an event for every Monday morning, let's say at 8 a.m. Okay? So at 8 a.m. on every Monday, you want to create an event. So you can create via this fine grain. But let's say you have a use case where you want to create the event every 10 minutes or every 20 minutes. Okay. So then you can use this one. So you can give the value, let's say 10, and you can check the parameter here, minute, hours, days. Okay. So that means every 10 day, every 10 hour, every 10 minutes. Okay. But in the fine grain, it is not like that. It is basically a cron expression. So for those who don't know, it is basically expression to schedule. Okay. So here you have to give minutes. Here you have to give hours. Here you have to give day of month, day of week, year. So basically, if you want to run at 8 a.m., so here for minutes you will give 0, 0. Here you will give the hour as 8. So here you can select the day of month. Here you can select the month, January, Feb, March. Here you can select the day of week. So as our use case contains the Monday, so you can choose the Monday here. Okay. And you can give the years. To get more info, you can click on info here and you can go onto this link. So this is a very good documentation which will help you to create your cron jobs. Okay, go through this doc to understand more about it, the cron expressions. So let me go with the schedule rate only for the simplicity. So every 2 minutes, I want to run the event. Okay, so let's click on next. Now we have to select the target. So our target is Lambda function. So here, let's select the Lambda function and you have to select the Lambda. So here you can see there is only one Lambda function, that is email. So we will select that and then click on next. You can add tag also here. Let me give as a name SES Lambda event. Click on next. So at last we have the review section. So if you can see here, we are scheduling the event that is fixed rate of every 2 minutes. Now let's create rule. Okay, so the rule is created, and if you go below, you can see the rule is enabled. Now if I go back to my Lambda function and if I refresh, you can see there is one trigger added, that is EventBridge. Okay, so now let's wait for 2 minutes. Let me see the mail also if I have received. So there is no new email for now because we have set the timer for 2 minutes. Okay, now you can see there is a mail. So I can see this one. You can see the same mail. So this earlier mail was for the test function, and now you can see this mail. Okay. So now let's wait for another 2 minutes, and we can see it may be around 1:37 or 1:38. Let me go back, let me refresh. There is no mail yet. Okay, so now you can see we got another email that is 1:37 as per our plan. Okay, so that's it. We have successfully integrated our Lambda function with simple email service and EventBridge and all the thing. So we have successfully implemented this architecture. So now you can also disable your events because we don't want the email to be keep on coming. So here you can go to your rules and disable it. So it will stop the events to come. Okay, so that's it. We have successfully implemented our architecture here. So we have successfully automated our mails using SES and Lambda functions. Thank you so much for watching this session. And if you have any query, you can connect with me on LinkedIn. I'll be very happy to help you. Thank you guys.